welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, my name is Sylvia. I'm mostly creating my sketchbooks as a way to relax, but today I won't be needing one. Instead, I've decided to create a few pieces for the very boring wall in my room. Something that will inspire me every time I sit down to make art. With the sun shining so beautifully today, I wanted to create something in soft pastel tones. To keep the piece light and cohesive, I'll be working with a limited color palette. To begin with, I will keep things simple and limit myself to just two colors. Both are Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors. I want to try adding some titanium white watercolor made with PW6 pigment to create a softer, more pastel look. I'm not sure how it will turn out, but I'm curious to see what happens. I don't have a clear plan for this painting, other than the colors I've chosen and the feeling that they will be enough to get me started. I trust that once I begin painting, the rest will come naturally. That's my favorite way to create. It helps me enjoy the process more, and I always learn something along the way. It's a bit like reading a good book. I know the general idea of what it's about, but it's the unexpected twists and the surprising ending that makes the journey so enjoyable. At first glance, my plan to fill just one wall in my bedroom with my own artwork probably doesn't seem like a big deal. Plenty of artists hang their paintings on the walls at home. It's completely normal. For some reasons, though, it's never felt that simple to me. Over the past 10 years, I've only put up 4 of my own paintings anywhere in the house. And honestly, I think that was more about filling a blank wall than actually wanting to live with my own art. I've realized that hanging my work feels surprisingly personal, maybe because once it's on the wall, I can't quietly put it away. If I change my mind, I can't close the sketchbook, slide it onto a shelf, or hide it in a drawer. I have to see it every day. It's there. And somehow, that also means accepting that it no longer exists just for me. That's why this wall feels like a project rather than just a decorating job. It's my way of stepping outside my comfort zone. Piece by piece, I'm learning to make a space for my own work, not just in this room, but in my life. And by sharing this journey with you, I'm taking that one step further. At this point, I can already see that adding titanium white probably wasn't the best idea. Instead of getting soft pastel tones, everything is starting to look a bit muddy and dull. I'm really not loving the colors or the composition so far, and the paper has buckled more than I expected. I'm starting over. I don't mind though. Sometimes the first attempt is simply part of the process, helping me figure it out what the painting really wants to become. This time, I'm trying a different approach. Instead of white watercolor, I'll be mixing titanium white gouache with Cotman raw amber and indigo. I choose Cotman because even though they are considered student-grade watercolors, they are still light-fast. The colors aren't quite as strong as they are in professional watercolor, and I actually like that because it gives me a bit more control. The most stressful part is always painting the sky. I'm still not convinced it's a good idea to start a painting with it, especially when I have a habit of making it far too dark. Somehow, it always seems to take over the whole painting before I've even had a chance to think. Skies and clouds have never been my strongest point, but they are such an important part of the composition that I can't really avoid them forever. Luckily, I'm using gouache this time, so if I need to, I can always lighten the sky with another layer. One day, I will figure it out. At least that's what I keep telling myself. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea what I'm painting at this point. I'm just putting paint on the paper, watching it spread and seeing what marks the brush leaves behind. I'm waiting for something to catch my eye. A shape, a color, tiny detail, anything that might spark an idea and point me in the right direction. Right now, it's still a bit of a mystery. What started out looking a bit like a desert, it's slowly turning into dunes and water. I love that the painting is beginning to evolve. It almost feels as if we are having conversation, finding our way together in this strange little creative partnership. My imagination can only draw from things I've already seen and tucked away in my memory. Right now, my mind keeps drifting to Scottish beaches, rolling mist, and golden sand. This is exactly what I was waiting for. Something finally caught my eye. Now it feels like the painting knows where it wants to go. The watercolor stage is done, and now I'm slowly building up the details with watercolor pencils and Neocolor too. As always, you will find a full list of all the materials I used in the description below, if you would like to take a look. At this stage, I'm mostly looking for little textures and details. Anything that might bring something else out of the painting. This is probably the most dangerous part of the whole process. Once I get into that creative flow, it's surprisingly hard to stop. I keep thinking there's just one more little thing I could bring out, and then another one, and another one. It's so easy to keep adding without noticing the painting has already given you everything it had to offer. I could keep going. I really could. And honestly, I would probably be quite happy doing that for another couple of hours. I really could. I wish this feeling could last forever. But I know that's not really an option. The painting needs something different from me now. Not another pencil mark, just a little distance. I still can't stop looking at the sky. It feels just a little too dark. Maybe just a touch of titanium white gouache, nothing dramatic, just enough to see if it brings everything together. The sky looks much better now, but I think this is where I stop, not because it's finished. Actually, I'm not even sure it is. I just know that I'm not the right person to decide that today. I could keep going. I really could. And that's exactly the problem. I would keep adding details, not because the painting needs them anymore, but because I don't want to leave this moment just yet. But I will leave it here, and hopefully tomorrow I will see it a little more clearly. It's the next morning, and before doing anything else, I put the painting against the wall, where it's eventually going to hang. I want to see it the way I actually be seeing it every day. Not sitting at my desk, but from across the room, in natural morning light, with a bit of distance. After spending hours focusing on tiny details, it's surprisingly refreshing to look at the paintings as a whole again. From this distance, some things suddenly stand out, while others quietly disappear, and that's exactly what I needed. I think this is exactly what I was hoping for. The colors feel calm, soft, a little melancholic, exactly the atmosphere I wanted. there's only one thing left to do: give it a frame, and finally put it where it belongs. I don't think I would enjoy this part so much. This is the moment when a painting stops feeling like a work in progress and starts feeling complete. The very first painting, the beginning of the wall project. I'm sure it won't stay on its own for long. More paintings will slowly find their place beside it. Every new painting will become another chapter of this wall. I have a feeling I will enjoy watching it grow just as much as creating the paintings themselves. And every morning, before I even get out of bed, this will be the first thing I see. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy spending this quiet time with me. Take care, and I will see you in the next chapter.